under Section 305, particularly Section 3, 4, and 5. If law and order has broken down in the state, or there is real likelihood that law and order has broken down, the president cannot close his eye and allow brigandage and lawlessness to pervade in any society. So there must be a quick response to it, and that is what the presidency has done. But the presidency would have gone further, in fairness to him, because this is democracy. I mean, we are talking about democratic government. I'm sure what the presidency has done is just okay. Let me say, allow you people to remain there, governor. But in fairness, if the same governors sitting lame dog could not handle the security situation in their state, and law and order has broken down irretrievably, and you are still allowing them to stay, I don't know for what purpose they are going to achieve. We then not begin to exercise or claim constitutional superiority to the man that will be sent to come and head the security situation in that state.
Does that mean that they are not interested in peace? Or getting a solution to the problem?
Of course, I would have expected that the governor should definitely cooperate. But you will see how the game plays out. Some of those governors might be heading and say, well, I'm the constitutionally elected. You were sent from Abuja to take charge of security. I am the chief security officer of this state.
Do they still remain...
As a matter of fact, you are calling yourself a chief security officer, and yet law and order has broken down right under your nose.
Yeah, but in an emergency rule such as this one,
yes,
do they still remain? They can't remain chief security officer, can they?
But that's what the Constitution describes them. For now, are those functions under the governor, have they been put on suspension?
Oh, for the fact it's not been suspended. There seems to be a conflict now between the man who is in charge of security now and the governors.
Of course. Some governors will insist, look, I am the duly elected person. I'm still going to give orders. Supposing a scenario like that happens, if the president has done well, I'm not going to send you packing, but as far as the security of those states are concerned, I'm taking them off you and I'm betting that with somebody else.
Well, what do you see from the National Assembly, though we have seen some form of, should I say, move by then, knowing what kind of direction they are headed by Ekuramadua and, of course, Domaigba. But for some other political parties, we know they have members at the National Assembly.
Yes.
They have started talking against this move by the president.
I think, in fairness to the presidency, I don't want to use certain phrases. I think every Nigerian should applaud this move. If this move will bring sanity, protection of life and security that are being daily wasted by a group of miscreants, and some people are kicking against it, then the logical question I want to ask those sort of people is this: what would they have preferred for the nation? Assuming that the president was evil, assuming he was wrong in declaring a state of emergency, what would they, the opposition, those people are opposing it now, what would they have preferred to end the ugly situation that have been in existence in those northern states? I have read all the arguments. None of the arguments can supersede the need to protect life and property in this country. But don't forget, again, what is the constitutional responsibility of any government? When you look at Chapter 2, there are just two: security of life and property and welfare. No government what is sought will close its eye and allow law and order to break down irretrievably and still claim to be the head of government. It's like the ordinary headship of a family. Call them Bali. Bali is the head of the husband, the head of the family, and they call you Bali of the family, the head of the family. You cannot even catch an ordinary fowl and slaughter it on behalf of the family to eat, and you are calling yourself. See, in a situation like that, if an outsider now take over the management of your house, don't complain. So that's exactly what the emergency rule is all about. The federal government cannot close its eyes and allow life and property to be terminated wantonly and extrajudicially, and then you remain there. Like I said, where I just disagree is the question of the retainers of those governors. I'm not saying those governors are bad per se, but how are we sure that some of those sitting lame ducks calling themselves governors in those affected states are not even part of the Boko Haram problem.
Well, since they are on that one, I imagine that they would have figured all those out in their plan to find peace. But what do you say to those who also think that the judiciary in this country is part of the challenge we're facing, because they don't see them giving the stiffest of measures to any such crime?
It's not a part of the judiciary. I will hold brief for that, because that is my constituency. You see, you cannot, by the doctrine of separation of powers, the legislature, the executive, the judiciary, it's not the duty of the judiciary to legislate or to embark on law-making exercise.
Even with the existing laws, because
it is the existing law that creates loopholes. And once there are loopholes, you don't expect people like me to go to court and not take advantage of those loopholes.
You have to make money, won't you?
I don't know about that. You are the one saying it. But the fact is, you see, we are trained to look at some of the good side of the law and perhaps the bad side, and then advise the legislator on how to modernize it and bring those laws into conformity with reality. But the situation we have in Nigeria is that so many of our laws, what we call the existing law, they are not only state but outdated. They cannot meet the current challenges on the ground. And any society where the law is not developing at the space in which the society is developing, such a country can never make any progress. And that is the problem we have.
But do we see the judicial, your constituency again, championing some of those areas? Do we see them pointing out what areas
we
draw a list of some of the moribund laws and bring them before the National Assembly for review?
From most of our talking like this and most of our write-ups, we do call the attention of the government to it. We even volunteer. Most times we write to the National Assembly making proposal on how to better some of the existing laws. Particularly in this country today, most of our labor laws are just antiquated. They are outdated. And that is why it is easier, or so easy, for an employer to just terminate or dismiss without recourse. And secondly, the remedy in place has to be addressed. So when some of these issues have been raised before the National Assembly and raised before some of the state houses of assembly, they will not bother themselves with such things like that. It's things that will improve their personal aggrandizement. That is of importance to them.
Because only recently, there was this case about the Iranian. I mean, we know what Nigerians go through in other countries.
Of course.
If there's any whisker of any allegation against you, I mean, so many extrajudicial killings of Nigerians in other countries. But you come down to
some are even deported without even going through the legal judicial system.
But when we come back here, it looks as if our laws respect those persons.
It's patting them on the back, and then judges are giving judgment that is almost like tapping them on the wrist. Wow. You see, for instance, the Iranian case you just mentioned, fine. But you won't say 17 years is not much.
He's going to spend less than 3 years because he was retrospective.
It's retrospective, but
don't forget the time that he was.
What does the law say in the first instance? Does the law give the judge the moral temerity on its own to increase the maximum? I mean, to increase the punishment for such offenses?
But just the way it doesn't compel the judge to say you must do it retrospectively.
No, we say that would be very unfair. You wouldn't say it should be.
That's
the man has been in custody because you must understand
a whole lot of Nigerians have been in custody. A whole lot of Nigerians. The man who stole the cell phone has been in custody before judgment was passed. A whole lot of people, you don't come from your home to the courts. Most of them are in detention. So we have hardly seen in the country where they have told anyone convicted that let's do this retrospectively because you have done time in jail before now, and
there's what we call pleading after somebody has been convicted before sentence.
When we are in dire situation like this security situation with arms coming into the country and someone, a non-Nigerian, that's war on us as a people.
You won't blame the judge in a situation like that. You blame the makers of the law. Because, like I told you, it's not within the realm of a judicial officer to begin to say, well, this law ought to be like this. He can make his observation at the end of the judgment and call for an amendment of the existing law, but he cannot bend it at that level. He must comply. Otherwise, the judge will be accused again of exercising his discretion wrongfully. Because don't forget that the discretion had to be exercised both judicially and judiciously.
All right.
Just like our president has exercised his constitutional power now to declare a state of emergency in those northern states. So, of course, like I said, you cannot challenge that. That's what the Constitution says. The Constitution gives the presidency that power. Anybody who is not satisfied can call for an amendment of the Constitution to remove that power from the president. But once the presidency invokes it in the realms of jurisprudence, what follows is disliability in those states. Disliability. Power disliability. It's not the situation of right duty.
All right. Okay, we'll have to let it go there. Thank you for coming on, Mr. Agbaje, giving us perspective on the state of emergency.